All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another edition of the Uber Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. How's everyone doing today? Doing good here. Episode 2, War Stories. You gotta love them, right? What are we smoking? What are we drinking? Again, sticking with the Warfighter cigar. This is their 7.62 millimeter. This one is not the Connecticut wrapper, it's the one darker. And I can never remember the name. It starts with a C. Is it Kojo wrapper? Good cigar. Really nice draw on this one this time. Liking that. Now, don't make too much fun of me, folks. I misread this in the store. It is Ordok's Super Dank official camp beer. So West Coast Indian Pale Ale. Just for everyone to know, no, it does not contain cannabis. Does not contain cannabis. There is no actual THC or weed in this one. It's just a very hoppy IPA beer, so I'm going to suffer through that. They did a collaboration with the Fire Station, which is a dispensary here in Michigan. Funny story about the Fire Station. One opened up not too far from here. It was during the times of Rona's. They were open, and I was with my kids. I was like, you know what would be really good? I got them like Wendy's or something, or some fast food. I was like, you know what? I could go. I thought it was a restaurant. I was like, a firefighter's chili would go down smooth. Yeah, it wasn't chili. I learned what it was. Kind of a cloudy IPA. Let's see how it tastes. IPA with tangerine. A lot of citrus or grapefruit. Okay, well. Anyway, I didn't see that was super dank. I didn't know this beer was sponsored by a collaboration with the Fire Station. Again, no actual weed was used or THC or anything like that. So anyway, picked it up. I'm gonna drink it. Why not? But as long as we are drinking a beer that was in collaboration with a dispensary, let's talk about dope. More specifically, for tonight's war story, it's kind of a couple of them, kind of rapid fire. Way back when synthetic weed and bath salts came out on the market, Michigan legislation was kind of caught flat-foot. So for almost a year or so, it was completely legal to buy and use both bath salts and synthetic weed in Michigan. Led to a whole host of calls. I mean, we were getting security trainings. We were, having law enforcement roll out with us. Law enforcement put on extra units for dealing with the bath salt patients. It was like the wild, wild west when it came to us dealing with that. And it was crazy town. Absolute crazy town for the area I was in. Especially the synthetic weed. That stuff caused a lot of interesting medical problems. Now, granted, the bath salts were just, it's violent people is what you had to deal with. People who weren't exactly themselves, acting absolutely crazy. But I'm going to share some of the ones with synthetic weed, because there were a couple of fun reactions I got to deal with. So one of my first ones with the synthetic weed was a lady. She meets us at the door, and she's like, "I'm paralyzed." I'm like, "Well, but you're standing." She's like, "No, you understand. I'm paralyzed from the neck down. I don't know what happened." So the crew finds her, picks her up. She says she's paralyzed from the neck down. They're thinking backboarder. We kind of just start interviewing her. And I show up on scene as a third because they're like, we have no idea what's going on. Like, she's running around, she's flailing her arms, but she's saying she's paralyzed from the neck down. She can't feel anything. She's trying to stab herself to prove that she's paralyzed. And yeah, so it takes us a little bit, but finally, while we're kind of doing our patient interview, she says she tried some synthetic weed. And at the time, we didn't really have much treatment protocols for it. Kind of hit them with a bunch of IV fluid, oxygen. But we kind of found something. I don't know if this was ever officially put into protocols. I was talking with the doc, and she actually had a ton of other allergies, so we tried Benadryl. Hit her with some Benadryl, and it actually improved her symptoms. The doc actually said he was going to go on to write a paper about this case because we had a couple others with synthetic weed we tried Benadryl with. It seemed to turn them around. It actually seemed like this was more of an allergic reaction they were going through than a chemical reaction. So that was pretty interesting. The lady couldn't feel anything. We had another one. She was a 16-year-old who mom said just wasn't acting right. And she was being very suggestible, which this woman, this 16-year-old, never was. You could tell her to do pretty much anything. Quack like a duck. You could tell her to, stand up, sit down, whatever. She'd listen to it. And the mom was very concerned and worried, and that her daughter must be sick or having some seizures or brain damage. And well, we were doing her assessment, and I noticed in her book bag, there was a telltale packaging in there. So we get her in the rig. I hit her with Benadryl, and it's like the light switch went on. She wakes up, and her mom's like, "Oh my God, she seems much better. What happened? What was it?" And I looked her in the face, told the patient, "Do you want me to tell her, or you're going to tell your mom what you did?" And she's like, "I didn't do anything." I was like, "Yeah?" I said, "I can tell her, but I'm telling you, as a parent, it's better if you're honest with your mother." She's like, "Well, I'm 16. You're not allowed to tell my mom." Well, we were. And I told her, I said, "I'm going to tell her." So I told this girl's mom that, yep, your daughter did synthetic weed. And the mom instantly went to calling me a liar. And a lot of other less than colorful names, accusing of how her daughter would never touch that stuff and yada, yada, yada. I told the mom when they get home, check the daughter's backpack and do a little online research. But I still think the mom thinks the daughter had nothing to do with that stuff. Because, that was kind of the type of mother-daughter relationship they had. That one was interesting. One of the saddest ones I had, so they, just as synthetic weed was really hitting the area, there was we got medical marijuana passed in the state. And there was a individual who was on the reservation, was Native American, who kept having bad reactions. And again, he actually started having anaphylactic reactions, which is what kind of made me and this doc want to lean towards giving them Benadryl. And we'd pick him up, we'd treat him, we'd take him to the hospital, and the officers were all like, "Dude, why are you doing this medical marijuana, or this synthetic marijuana?" He's like, "Well, you gotta understand, man, I don't want to, I was addicted to pain pills." And I was like, yeah, man, I remember when you're addicted to pain pills. He's like, "I don't want to go back on them, I'm in a lot of pain." They're like, "Well, get your medicinal marijuana card." Like, the one officer's like, "Dude, I'll help you." Like, okay, I agree. You need something that isn't in pill form because you had problems with abusing that. Well, lo and behold, because we were on tribal property, or this patient lived on tribal property, he wasn't allowed to get his medicinal marijuana card because federally it was still illegal. Tribes fall under federal rules, not state. So he was stuck trying to find a synthetic weed that would work because he didn't want to be arrested by the tribal PD. Eventually, the tribe did kind of pivot and change their mind and then legalize it on their end, which was good for him. Because again, that guy didn't want to be on a bunch of pain pills, and I don't disagree with that. So yeah, it was a wild ride. It was like 2 to 5 years we were dealing with synthetic weed. We were dealing with bath salts, people trying to eat other people's faces and going just bananas. It was a weird time. It was a good time. It was a fun time. Glad I got to experience it. Glad it came out all right. I do know a few medics who got the living daylights beat out of them. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting, kind of everywhere war story. A couple of those tied into one, but I decided to kind of make one video, kind of risking it here anyway, so we'll see what happens with the old sensors. But anyway, folks, I'm going to go enjoy my really good cigar and my quite average, kind of disgusting, very IPA, very hoppy beer. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. Hope you're having a good one. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on the next one.